The Odyssey is an iconic tale that other stories lay the foundation on top of, with powerful themes centered around divine intervention, greed, and homecoming. A powerful epic that attempts to reunite a man to his homeland after a devastating war, a story retold countless times throughout history, initially passed down orally through the use of storytelling, being told in taverns or reenacted in plays, before being written down, flourishing across the Greek world. The story was well known by all, even those who were non-native Greek speakers having their own versions of the Odyssey. As the Roman Empire flourished, so too did their gods. Later, the Odyssey being adapted from a Greek story to one that fit the Roman ideals. Instead of Zeus being mentioned, now it was Jupiter. And instead of being referred to as Odysseus, he was now Ulysses. However, what stayed the same was the theme that Ulysses yearned for his homeland, however, could never achieve returning to Ithaca. The story has been readapted over the years to fit the needs of the author writing it, changing the character type of the main figures in the story, altering the original character instead of someone who is brave and loyal to someone who has destroyed everything he has loved because of an inflated ego. In Dante's Inferno, for example, you witness a different kind of Ulysses, one who has yearned to explore and experience the vice and virtue of mankind. This was the opposite of the Ulysses written by Homer, who only yearned to return to his family. When described by Dante, Ulysses is a man who had no fondness for his son or affection for his father, who did not even care to be with his wife after such a long war, only yearning to experience what life had to offer, traveling beyond the earthly limitations set by God, pushing his men into peril, ultimately leading Ulysses and his men to their demise as they sailed to their death, landing Ulysses in the 8th circle of hell, endlessly suffering alongside Diomed for his sins for leading his men to an ill-gotten fate. Moving forward in time to the 20th century, Odysseus is still being studied and adapted to fit the needs of those who are writing about him. Female poets began adapting the epic, but shifting focus from the males to instead choose to worry about the females. Dorothy Parker and Louise Gluck are both prominent female poets who decided to write about the less spoken of characters who never get a spotlight of their own. Odysseus' wife, Penelope, for example, is a female in the story who has to suffer while her husband is off being a hero. In Dorothy Parker's Penelope, the narrator explains the mundane aspects of the wife of an adventurer. While her husband is out enjoying the beauty of the world, she will be patiently waiting for his return. In this poem, it is implied that Penelope feels anger against her husband for leaving his family for so long, having to deal with the realities of home while her husband is off leading in an epic adventure. Despite his lack of presence, Penelope still feels loyal to her husband, never finishing the funeral shroud, always snipping the thread. But they won't remember the deeds she did. Only her husband gets all the glory. Similarly to Dorothy Parker, Louise Gluck created a piece revolving around Penelope's perspective, also mentioning the monotony involved in waiting for her husband to return home from a long voyage. How everything must be made perfect for him upon his return because Penelope has done things that she cannot speak of. That she must remain loyal and patient for his return and not burden him with her own loss of endlessly waiting for his return. Louise Gluck also explains the sadness that Circe experiences because of the Odysseus' reluctance to stay on the island with her. How men's true nature was shown when she made Odysseus' crew look like pigs. However, she had shown mercy and was willing to care for him and his crew. Under the care of me and my ladies, they sweetened right up. Returning his men to their original form, she kept her promise. Ultimately, she wanted Odysseus to feel welcome and happy. However, she was only a road bump on his journey, adapting the original message that Odysseus is only looking out for himself. The Odyssey has been retold countless times throughout history, whether it be in different characters' perspectives, similar to Margaret Atwood's Penelopiad, which tells the tale from Penelope's perspective, or an entirely new thing upon itself like that of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, who takes the story of the Odyssey and makes it his own, however keeps the Odyssey's main message of a hero returning to his simple home. Whether it be a comedy or a tragedy, the Odyssey is a story that can be readapted to fit whatever message the author is trying to convey, involving a long journey in which the character must overcome adversity and achieve his or her destiny.